What's up guys, this is Dark Magician here and welcome to another KOF video. Okay, so the long-awaited boss has arrived to Global. First we were questioning whether it's gonna be Ash or the Karate Bros. Well, actually Ash was the one to appear first. So today's video will be a character introduction for the second API 15 to appear in the game in the Global version, which is Ash Crimson. Okay, so Ash is an API 15 fighter, a DPS fighter, and his details, okay, you can see he has some good stats. Okay, his crit 34.6% is quite high, and his crit power is very high, 48.66%. okay, other than that they are good, the stats are good, but basically his crit and crit power are very high. Okay, his feature is continuous explosive attacks. Okay, we're gonna as we go through the skills, it's gonna be obvious why did the developers give him that feature. Okay, let's go to the fates now. The best actor, we need Ash, Kioness, and K-Dash, increase attack by 25%. Spin jump, we need Ash, Hydrant, Toro Kasumi, Geese, and Shion, increase attack by 25%. And 5 colored flame, we need Ash, Orochi Chris, Crazy Yori, and Saiki, increase an attack again by 25%. His weapon, Eternal Flame Soul, and he uses Flame Badge and Scorching Tongue. Okay, his fight soul is Adder Soul. Every attack will restore 40 rage and also restore a little rage when any fighter dies. So it's basically a mixture of Adder Soul and Tiger Soul. This is a very deadly combination because both of these souls are just good ways to gain rage fast and do more ultimates. Okay, this is one part why is his feature called continuous explosive attacks. Okay, now let's go to the passive. With ease, decrease all enemy attack. It does not stack with Orochi Leona, my Orochi Shermie passive skill. Okay, so we have this passive for males. Okay, decrease all enemy or male enemies attack conferred by Orochi Leona, Mai, and Orochi Shermie. So far, Ash is the only one in the game in the global version with such a passive that can decrease all enemies attack for both males and females. Of course, later it will be there will be more fighters like Magaki and Elizabeth who have the same passive. Now Ash can gather the flame in the body to deal a powerful flame attack. Each attack increase 10% and max at 30%. So each attack will make him improve or increase his attack by 10%. It can stack up to 3 times until it reaches 30%. Okay, so when Ash has received 40% or more of max HP damage, or if HP falls below 30%, he will immediately recover 20% HP and dispel the debuffs. Will not recover HP if he dies, and he can recover three times per battle. Okay, so you've seen Ash when he reaches 30% HP, he regains some after receiving a non-deadly attack. Okay, so this can happen again as we saw here. Okay, when Ash has received 40% or more, so if he received a very high damaging move that will cost him more than 40% of his HP, he will regain 20% HP, or if his HP falls below 30%, he will also recover back. Okay, it can happen 3 times per battle. And if Ash did not recover HP last round, attack will increase by 15% for this one. So if he didn't use this feature, if he didn't recover HP in the previous round, instead he will increase his attack by 15% for this round. Okay, now his other passive, legendary HP attack enhancement, permanently increase attack and HP. Okay, his minor skill, Thermidor, guaranteed to use skill in the first round. Okay, attack a single enemy and adding a flame effect. What does the flame effect do? Decrease 15% ultimate damage, where each move will help Ash recover a little rage, and burn damage will not restore rage. It lasts for 3 rounds. So okay, see, the flame effect is when the opponent is affected by his green flame. Okay, so his green flame will decrease the ultimate damage of the opponent, and when that opponent make any move, if he attacked, Ash will gain rage, whether he attacked him or not. Okay, whether he targeted Ash or not, he will gain rage for that. So that's another reason for the feature continuous explosive attacks. Ash has a lot of ways to gain rage. Okay, his fight soul is good, and the flame effect enables him to gain more rage during the battle. Okay, of course, the burn damage will not restore rage, so unlike other flames, the green flame will not enable the opponent to gain rage if he is affected by it, and it lasts for 3 rounds. If the opponent already has the flame effect, Ash will deal 50% additional damage. Okay, now his ultimate, Monsoon, attack a column of enemies and debuff enemies, also adding the flame effect. So he debuff the enemies, the column, okay, and add the flame effect or the green flames, or refresh them to last 3 rounds. So if they were affected by the flame, it will refresh 3 more rounds. Okay, it resets so that it refreshes for 3 rounds. The more enemies affected by flame effect, the higher the ultimate damage. It can reach a maximum of 20%, or it can increase by 20%. Okay, if there is only one enemy in the column, he will deal additional 20% damage. Effects, of course, are greatly increased after awakening weapon. We're gonna see that later. So basically that's it for here. Okay, now we're gonna go to the UG KOF app to talk about the weapon awakening and the gate, and then get back here to give some tips regarding Ash Crimson. Okay guys, so moving on to the more advanced stuff, we're gonna go for the awakened weapon. Of course, I'm using the UG KOF'98 app that I've talked about in my previous video. I'll put the link in the description so that you maybe can check it. It's a very good app. Okay, it has everything you need to know. Now the awakened weapon, attack a column of enemies, debuff enemies, also add flame effect, same thing, or refresh them to last 3 rounds. The more enemies affected by the flame effect, the higher the ultimate damage. It's a 30% increase instead of 20%, I remember. If there is only one enemy in the column, it will deal additional 30% damage. Okay, so it's just an increase by 10% in the damage, which is very good. Okay, now let's go to the passive after gates, the second gate. Okay, okay, it's a nice thing that they highlight the changes with the gates. Okay, so each attack increased 50%, max of 30%. Okay, so I've said earlier that he can increase his attack up to 3 times. Okay, 10% increase each time so that it reaches a maximum of 30%. Now he can do it like twice with an increase of 15% each time in order to reach to 30%. Okay, other than that, he will immediately recover 25% HP if he has below 30% HP, or if he received an attack with higher than 40% HP. So he will recover 25% instead of 20, and increase resistance by 20% for 1 round, and dispel debuff. So that's a very good thing. He will increase resistance as well and will dispel his debuff. Okay, if Ash did not recover HP last round, attack will increase by 20% instead of 15%. Whenever enemies under green flame effect dies, Ash steals a part of the target's fight soul rage gain. So that's an additional way to gain rage for Ash. He will steal the target's rage if the fighter dies. Okay, so that's very good passive. Now moving to his minor skill. Okay, so in addition to all what I've mentioned, he also increased his controlled resistance by 50% for 2 rounds. That's very high, so it will be harder to control him once he activates his skill after the 4th gate. Okay, adding to that, burn damage does not recover rage for the target. I think this was the burn damage does not recover rage. It's the same thing. Okay, the green flames can't make the target gain rage from them. Okay, but if the opponent already has the flame effect, or the target immune to flame, will deal additional 60% damage. Okay, so if the opponent has the flame, it was something like 50% before additional damage, and if the target was immune to flame, the Ash will make that 60% additional damage anyway. Okay, now his smacks Monsoon steals. So in addition to all what I've mentioned, he also steals 20% block rate from the front target and 20% critical rate from the back target. This is very good. Okay, so the front row target will lose 20% block, and the back row target will lose 20% the critical rate, and Ash will gain both of them. Okay, now the more enemies affected by the flame effect, the higher the ultimate damage, 35% max increase. Okay, the value increases a bit. If there is only one enemy in the count, also it will deal additional 35% damage and steal 20% luck and crit from the target. So this what makes Ash also good in tournaments, in 1 versus 1 battles. Okay, so his max is really good as well. He steals a lot from the target. Okay, now we've talked about Gates and his weapon. Let's go back to the game in order to talk or to give tips. Okay guys, so back to the game. The question is Ash a good fighter or not? Well, of course, as you have seen, the draw is going crazy. Ash is very demanded at the moment, especially because he just brings a lot to the game this far, okay, at this stage of the game. And Ash being an Adder Soul, and he's just so versatile. He can be used in many teams, okay, mainly Snake Genesis, of course, and 4 Souls, okay, and he can also be used in other teams simply because of his passive. His passive is, in my opinion, a must-have passive in every team. Okay, so make sure you have somebody at least with that passive, whether it's for both the male and female decrease in the attack or only the males, basically because most opponent teams have more males usually, but of course this one is much better for later. Okay, so where to put Ash in the team? Basically Ash is just a damage dealer. Okay, he's a DPS after all, so it's normal to put him in the back. But later on, maybe if somebody didn't have enough tanks or any tanks at all, he can be put in the front because he can heal himself back. So this can be like an indirect tanky way to perform. Okay, now of course, esoteric. Speaking about esoterics, basically you need to put DPS either way. Whether you put DPS HP or DPS tank, you just need to focus on the DPS part. Okay, for the future, for global players, speaking about runes, basically God's Wrath is the best rune for Ash, simply because he has a very high crit and crit power rate. Okay, so the God's Wrath, it will improve furthermore his crit and his crit rate, and he will deal more damage when he crits. So that's very appropriate for Ash, unlike other runes. Okay, whether he was used in the front or at the back, I think this one is good. Okay, because it just fits him so well. I hope you guys get Ash. Let me know how the draw goes. Okay, let's see here. It's at server 2. Okay, the draw is still going good. Okay, 5,000 points, but it's still like 3 days left. Okay, so I'm sure the numbers will go much higher. Okay guys, so what do you think of Ash? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.